Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Sahara Omar. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist practicing here in the state of Texas. And today's video, I wanted to share with you guys different types of manipulations. We see manipulations in relationship dynamics a lot, whether it is a child-parent relationship or friendships or even romantic relationships. And the root of manipulation is lack of accountability, right? So when we don't know or nobody taught us how to take true accountability to say, I'm sorry, I failed. I'm sorry, it was me. I'm sorry, that's not okay on my behalf, right? When we don't know how to just be grounded in reality and accept our fault, we lean into dysfunctional ways that we cannot get hurt even further, right? And that's how it shows up in manipulation. These are the 6 areas that I wanted to share with you guys about, like, the different types that we see. There will be another video in the future, so stay tuned, where I'll share other forms of manipulation. And towards the end of the video, I'll talk to you guys about like ways that you can challenge the person who's trying to manipulate you, so that way you can also protect your sanity overall. Okay. All right, so the common one that we see first is gaslighting. Gaslighting is when somebody is making you doubt your own memory, perception, and sanity. An example of this is when people say things like, that never happened, you're too sensitive, get over it, it was just a joke, right? Like almost like making you feel or doubt, like, am I making this a big deal? Or is this me making this a bigger issue than it is, for example, right? You're walking away when you're being gaslit, where you're questioning yourself a lot, right? Practical example, like let's say you live with someone and it's just the two of you. The light in the living room is on, even after you ask them to turn the light off. When you call them out on it, when you say like, hey, why is the light on? Could you please turn the light off moving forward? They will say things like, it wasn't me, I never turned the light on. And then you ask yourself, there's 2 of us. Is it me, right? Like now when you are doubting yourself and questioning yourself, you're typically being gaslit, okay? The next one is called guilt tripping. Guilt tripping, I see guilt tripping a lot in closer relationships like parent-child relationship and romantic relationships, and even some friendships, depending on the level of closeness, where somebody is making you feel guilty to influence the actions that they want out of that dynamic, right? So they will almost feel like you are responsible, or it feels like almost you're responsible for even trying to have the conversation or trying to bring up the issue to them. So they might say things like, after everything I have done for you, or I did this for you and you need to do it for me, or what did I do to deserve this, to be treated this way, or like they find ways that now you feel responsible for the issue at hand, instead of them taking accountability for the part that they played, okay? So a lot of guilt tripping I see a lot in parent-child relationship, especially when a child is choosing, for example, their career, and a parent wants them to stay at home or take care of them. They might use the guilt tripping. I'm your mom, or I'm your dad, or I deserve this because I gave birth to you. That's that guilt tripping language. And then the third one is silence treatment. Silence treatment is withholding communication altogether, or affection even, not hugging people, and punishing just to gain control as well too. With silence treatment, examples of this would be like ghosting, people like leaving you unread for hours at a time or days at a time as well. Sometimes avoiding behavior, where they just kind of walk away or not have conversations with you, especially when they are failing in certain areas. And then shunning. Shunning is an interesting one. I see it in like a group setting where people are having dialogues back and forth, where somebody brings forth an idea or a perspective, and then they get like skipped over or treated as if they do not matter or their voice does not matter. Other ways that silence treatment can happen in relationships, people pretending that you're not around anymore. So if you live with them, they'll just walk by you and act like you don't exist. Or even parents that send their children to their room for hours at a time. Typically, that's a form of silence treatment as well. And then number 4 is passive-aggressive behavior. Passive aggressiveness, there is hot and cold to people who practice passive aggressiveness. In a sense, it's the true definition of it is when there is an indirect expression of hostility, where the person is not being direct about what is it that they don't like or they're annoyed with. They're doing it indirectly. So such as, like, for example, sarcasm, backhanded compliments, or even form of procrastination, right? Like not getting things done on time. A good example of this is when people say things like, I guess you're too busy for me now, huh? Or it must be nice to have a job like this, or it must be nice to have a parent who still pays for your rent, right? Like very passive aggressive. It makes you usually stop for a second and you're like, what was that about? Anytime you ask yourself, what was that about? Typically, it's going to be either one of those forms of manipulation that's happening in your experience. And then number 5, we call this emotional outburst. Emotional outburst is when somebody is using anger or intense emotions to intimidate or shut down the other person, right? So let's say yelling is a common one that I see a lot in the therapy space, especially when I work with families and couples where one person is just so angry that they lean into the anger and it shows up in this dysfunctional way where there's yelling or name calling or throwing tantrums. I ordered my coffee 5 minutes ago. Where is it? All right, that's emotional outburst, anger. No need for that, right? Or making even threat comments, right? Or threatening comments. Another example of this is in couples therapy when one person is done with the relationship, but they threaten to end the relationship, right? Like they might say things like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be with you anymore. But then they're still staying in the relationship, right? So are you saying you don't want to be here and actually leave the relationship? Or are you using this as a form of forcing the person to not have a boundary anymore? Okay. And then the last one is playing the victim. This one I see a lot as well too, where a person goes into really fast, like into a sad space where they are kind of flipping the script again, right? So they're pretending to be innocent or helpless to deflect blame or sometimes even to gain sympathy from other people, right? A good example of this will be when somebody says, for example, nobody ever helps me, or everyone always leaves me, or I don't even know what I did to deserve this. I feel like I'm being punished, right? Like sometimes that language of complaining language typically falls into that playing the victim role. I'll give you guys this random example. Like let's say you ask your partner to mow the grass, right? Instead of just either say, yes, I will do it, or no, it's not going to be working for me, they will go into, why do I have to be the one who has to cut the grass? I feel like that's not my job. Why does it have to fall on me, right? Like it's a language where there is a little bit more whining and complaining. Typically it's because the person is not taking full responsibility and stepping into that dynamic in a healthier way, right? And other times people use it to gain sympathy, where they just complaining and about the same thing over and over again, and other people have pity over them and they feel bad for them and sorry for them. It's an actual reverted reward system where the person, instead of getting validation for accomplishing things and being positive and growing, they are using victimhood as a way to feel some sort of connection with people, and people feel bad for them, so they maintain a relationship with them as well. Okay. Like I said, there's other types as well, and I'll share that with you guys in the next video. But how do we overcome manipulation, right? So the hardest part of our work with anybody in life is to learn how to label things correctly. I cannot stress enough on the importance of using the right language when we are communicating with people, right? So if you notice first, one of these things is happening, it's okay to label it correctly for the person. It's okay to say like, hey, I think you're manipulating me here. Are you gaslighting? Are you playing the victim here? Or you being passive aggressive, right? When we label things out loud, it helps us not to spiral with people, because people can be spiraling internally, and they're using some of these manipulation tactics to help you spiral with them, right? The goal is to stay grounded. The goal is to stay outside of the chaos, right? So if you notice somebody jabbing at you or giving you the silence treatment, or they're using guilt trip, label it for them, and your job after that is to set a boundary, right? To say, this is not something I'm willing to engage with, this is not something that's going to work for me, or don't do that anymore, please, right? And if they don't listen, your job is to pull yourself back, right? Like take a step back, reserve your energy, go do something else, stay busy with something else in general. I did make a video on boundaries. Take advantage of that, because that will help you be a little bit more strong with your language as well, regarding like what type of boundary they're crossing, so that way you're not falling for that manipulation. Alrighty, I hope you guys liked the video. Feel free to hit that thumbs up. Also, feel free to share and leave me a comment on what you think about manipulation in general, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.